Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 3 in our course, where the topic, the ethics theme, is burden. And so I think this is going to be an interesting topic. There's a wonderful short documentary that I'm very keen on all of you watching and then reflecting on. So why don't we get started? Basically, the content on the Blackboard site, there are two articles that I'm going to go over. Certainly the documentary 9 to 90, and then the reflection related to 9 to 90. So let me talk a little bit about this idea of burden. And we're going to focus, we're going to equate the ethics theme of burden to older adults, and that's what the documentary focuses on. So if we think about, first of all, if we think about burden, it is probably one of the words that none of us really want to be associated with. We do not want to be individually a burden to others. We don't want others to see us as a burden to them. I think all of us have had the experience of, let's say, being a burden to others. Maybe the individual or the individuals connected to that, or family or close friends, and it could have been something as perhaps common as needing a ride to get from A to B. It could have been due to an illness or some sort of injury, and then an individual or people had to absorb the care or the other types of assistance. But when we talk about older adults, and so the articles maybe classify it differently, but let's say for the purpose of this, we're talking of individuals over the age 65. So now, all of you know individuals over 65 who are doing all kinds of different things as well. But as that number increases, the idea of frailty sets into place. And frailty is actually a medical term that encompasses, both body and mind. And the reality is that it, of course, happens to all of us. It's a little bit more classified with older adults, but because of minor and then continuous and perhaps even major bouts of frailty, we have it is very much connected to this idea of burden. And so let me move ahead and just really describe these two articles that I'd like you to focus on, we'll really read through. One is a research article, very interesting, published this year, 2022. But focuses on, and this is sort of the theme of this course, this focuses on the idea of co-residence. We're going to use another term, multi-generational. I don't even know if I'm spelling that right, but multi-generational. But this uses co-residence of older parents and adult children, and how the idea that it actually increases the psychological well-being of the older adults. That's merging people together for a variety of reasons, living in the same home, for this, it's living in the same home, but I think some of you have experiences or have had experiences with family members being close by in the same, maybe on the same street or in the same community. And there was always perhaps a realization that the older adult needed something or required something. We're not talking about medical care per se. We're talking about picking up certain things, driving, being helpful in a variety of ways. Hey, dog, stop. Sorry, I had to talk to my dog. You're going to see a picture of them in a little bit, and I'll explain why at the end. So I'd like, this really is very interesting. I think as we enter to a different phase, and I'm calling it a different phase of our worldwide COVID experience, where there was certainly, for pandemic type reasons, forced isolation. We think about isolation in general, but this was forced for older adults who, let's say, even if they were, let's say, coupled together, but especially those who are single, widowed, divorced, or whatever the case may be, this isolation contributed, to really some within the COVID experience. And I'm talking about individuals living at home, older adults, much on their own, much more of an increase in psychological issues. So I'm not even referring to residents living in skilled nursing facilities or in assisted living facilities, but this focus is really about the merging together, the cooperation of different generations within the same family has a tendency to improve one's psychological well-being. This next focus, the Pew Research Center does some amazing stuff, and these are all survey-based. And so the term sandwich, not even spelling that right, sandwich generation, has been around for a number of years in the United States, but it really is the idea that we have an older generation, let's say 65 plus, sometimes much older, adult children, and then let's say the adult children's kids, 0 to 18, maybe older, all in the same home. And what we have, you think about a sandwich, right? So bread, and then you choose what you would like in between. I particularly like pastrami, cheese, but that's a different conversation. It's the in between is this older adult who is in fact assisting with the caregiving of their older relative and still involved in the caregiving. It might not be with young children, but certainly much more middle school, high school type kids. You can see this picture as an example of it. I'd like you to take a look at the results of this Pew study, which really focus on a variety of different things, but it focuses on sort of the sandwiched adults who often are working, perhaps working maybe part-time. There's always usually a full-time worker in between, but there's other stuff happening for the older adults, because we're talking about multi-generation families and how that really occurs, and it's becoming such a much more of a common type thing. I'd like you to focus on the impact that this has on older adults, and we think again about this idea of burden. So we're not talking about a physical, we are probably, or a cognitive burden on the adults here, but perhaps an emotional burden, a financial burden as well. And what that does, knowing though that we have in the same household, generations that are also living together, learning from each other, and assisting each other. And I talk about the assistance from the older adults to the kids, and it goes both ways as well. We're not talking just about older adults who are bedridden. Perhaps they're helping with caregiving, they're helping with homework. And we're talking about the younger kids, they're maybe doing some driving. And but at a certain stage, those are not possible. That's not possible anymore. So I'd like to move to 9 to 90 here. So let's see what I have here. Just eliminate that. Sorry about that. 9 to 90 is a 29-minute documentary, and really produced and involves a wonderful, say, young producer, Julie Visa, who's done some work. And this is Julie, who's in 9 to 90. She's done work on The Incredibles, a variety of different sort of animated films, but also wanted to portray her own family. And so, what we have is Phyllis, and Joe, and their two daughters, one who lives in California and one who lives in Philadelphia, where the family has come from. And now Phil and Joe have moved in with their daughter in California, and their daughter also has sorry, it's just dogs again, one young kid. So what we have is a sandwich generation. And this is an interesting documentary which portrays real families and choices that are made. But I'd like you to pay attention to this idea of burden. And now these aren't healthcare people. You can see some healthcare episodes here in this film. And there's some reflection that I'd like you, 4 simple questions that I'd like you to think about and respond to after you watch the documentary. The reason I'm drawing this arrow is because in this documentary, Phyllis talks quite a bit, discusses quite a bit with all members of her family how she does not want to be a burden to her family. And, we're talking about a 89-year-old, Joe, I believe, was 90. They're certainly up there in age. But she constantly mentions this idea of, I don't want to be a burden, and what that means. And so her feeling is very different in terms of what perhaps her daughters, and then ultimately both daughters, talk about along with the rest of the family. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that. And I'd like you to definitely take a look at the 2 articles as well. And then there's a reflection, 4 simple questions, really like your opinion on those as well. I'm going to leave you with this picture, which are on this New Year's Eve. By the way, both these dogs, Max and Joe, have been watching me, which means they're watching you. Right now, I have lost this beautiful couch to the dogs, put on some old sheets. Anyway, Happy New Year to all of you. Let me know if you have any questions about this. Take care. Bye.